Live on stage. That sound.
Orlando.
So, is they ready? That sound.
Orlando.
Yes, what's going on, party people? We are back. We are back. You know, every now and then I get to do some shows that are maybe off the cuff.
Live on stage. That sound.
Kids, don't do that at home. Anyway, every now and then I like to do shows that are off the beaten path. Tonight is no exception to that rule. I got 3 of my homies on tonight, and we're just going to talk. 4 black men going to sit down in front of y'all, and we're going to talk what could possibly go wrong. Welcome to the Soul Show's round table discussion. Okay, welcome to the round table. It should be made, in my mind, for a whole lot of humor, entertainment. It will be thought-provoking. We will talk about things that may ruffle your feathers, may take you over here, but we're not responsible for the words that are coming out of our mouths tonight. Yes, we are. But we're also just looking at, hey, sometimes our brothers need to get together and just talk about what's going on, what we're all seeing together at one time. So welcome to the Sound of Orlando show, because that is the sound that you are listening to right now. And first things first, I seen this video earlier on Facebook. I thought it was completely and utterly hilarious. You might feel the same way. It may get you mad, be like, it may, get you sad. But this video today brought so much humor. I just had to, I think we need to talk about this particular video, if you will. Let's get this thing going. Let's see what happens here.
It don't make no sense. So why are you going? So why would if she's sick? Why would you be going to Atlanta? And why are you dressing up? It don't make no sense.
Are you really recording me?
Yes. Fellas, tell me. It don't make no sense.
What doesn't make any sense now?
Why are you going to Atlanta so late? Huh?
My aunt is sick.
But that don't make no sense. It don't make no sense though. I understand she's sick. Why would you even want to be around her if she's sick?
Look, Steph, if you don't believe me, like, we've been together for a year now, so so you're not believing what I'm saying.
I do trust you, but it don't make no sense.
You don't.
Why are you dressed up right now?
I'm tired of explaining to you the same stuff.
You're dressed up. You're going to see your aunt. It don't make no sense. You're going to Atlanta, where all your friends is. I follow them. I follow them on Instagram. All your friends: Rebecca, Ashley, TT.
Well, I didn't know they was there. So
I see. What do you mean you didn't know they was there?
I didn't know.
So you ain't been watching their stories, huh?
I haven't
Them in all random people, random dude sections, huh?
You think I care about the All-Star Weekend? Like, what are you talking about?
I didn't say nothing about All-Star Weekend, huh?
That's where.
I didn't say nothing about All-Star.
That was just completely funny to me. I only played a little bit of it. It's just, I mean, if I watched that whole thing, I'm just be sitting here laughing. But that was just completely hilarious to me. I also wanted to kind of see what happens if you put some brothers together and we see that in real time. Instead of commenting on Facebook, we actually sit here in front of you guys and just talk about it. So let me bring on my brothers. We're still waiting on one of my brothers, but let's bring on Errol.
Hey.
What's going on, Errol?
Not much.
My man Clay. What could possibly happen when you put these fellas together that ain't talked and you're watching the same thing at the same time? What could possibly happen? So let's go here and see, what the reaction is to this particular video. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you see this video? And anyone can take it.
Clay, you can go first. Honestly, the first thing I want to talk about is that damn picture. I don't know where you got my picture. But if I had to pick one picture of me that looked like Conspiracy Brother from Undercover Brother, but I'm not talking about Dave Chappelle's character. No. You look like Smart Brother, kind of tubby around the middle, but this always like surprise look on his face. Thank you, Rome.
I heard that,
you're a real gem.
You didn't give me much to pick from.
I know.
Everyone's like this in their pictures, and I'm like, come on, man. Can I get something in here? But yes, that picture did make me smile a little bit too, brother.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all love.
But what's your take? What's your take on the video since you talked?
It kind of, I saw that, and I saw it when you posted it, and I was kind of like, it kind of brought back some memories. I've been in that emotional place where I wanted to say stuff,
right,
like that guy was saying,
right.
But I know that if I looked in the mirror, I probably looked like that picture you put out. but that said, I mean, it's like you never want, as a dude, like especially if you're dating someone, you never want to be that jealous. You never want to be that guy, but sometimes it happens.
I heard
so that. I think that he was wrong. My approach to dealing with that is, first of all, if you're dating a person, and I don't know if they were living together, I don't know what the situation was, but if it's a thing where, choosing to date someone that would do something like that is probably where the real issue lies. So. I don't know. That's where.
What say you, Clay?
He went all like that way with it. I'm just like, that stimmy didn't hit yet. I'm looking at it like All Stars in Atlanta, baby girl's like, that stimmy didn't hit.
Right.
Taxes ain't done yet. They delaying that. It's All-Star weekend. I don't care about the Rona. I'm going to see my auntie. It looks like looking like Jody Watley, looking all nice and everything.
That's right.
She had a red bottoms in the bag, ready to go.
I'm looking for a new love.
Looking for a new love. That's the real deal.
Yo, fellas, check this out though. She's going to see her auntie. We've all been to Atlanta, right?
Right.
These new aunties are snatched. They are still in shape.
Yeah.
Right.
So she's not going to see her auntie. She's going to join her auntie.
Yeah, because at the All-Star.
Well, yeah, because auntie sounds like auntie that's always home.
Sick.
That sounds like Batman and Robin is about to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I've been here for All-Star Weekend. I've seen it.
Right.
I saw women that were out when the Magic first came around, when we were hanging out, and they were still out for the second All-Star game that came when Dwight was here. I'm like, dang, you've been here since Terry Cabbage. And you're still out here.
That's a minute.
The first thing that came to my mind was that's just a horrible frequency, a horrible energy.
Yeah.
I don't think that anyone involved in that probably never thought they woke up and that energy would be there and that they want to even have to deal with that. Especially right now, you mentioned all the shit, the COVID, the whole idea of just people being kind of in a weird space right now as it is, to be feeling that way on top of it.
Right.
I just think is just a horrible place. And the reason why it made me laugh was how funny that energy really is. It shouldn't even be happening, but what kind of space do you get in your life where that is like where you're kind of living out a cartoon, if you will?
Well, that's true, but that's 2020 now that we're in our upper age maturity. When we were teenagers, or they obviously weren't teenagers, but I'm saying, let's say early 20s. I think that's a good guess. Sometimes that, our mentality then that's where it was at 23, 24.
Right. But Clay, what say you? Because you saying It don't matter, man. That Atlanta's that Atlanta. That Atlanta's crazy.
Atlanta's gonna do what Atlanta does. Go there if they're gonna do what Atlanta does. You know?
Right. Like anybody say they move to Atlanta, it's all suspect. Like, what you about to do? What you about to do?
Well, honestly, I mean, with this right here in the past year and everything, people have really had a chance to just sit down and see themselves and spend more time isolated. Some people like what they see. Some people had to find out what they were about. And then especially if you're sitting in the same home with somebody, you get to know that person very, very well. You like the idea of them, but you see them morning, noon, night, working from home and everything. He's like, I really don't like this motherfucker.
Right.
You know,
right.
That's a possibility. Or if you're both willing to pull it back and get to know each other like this, it could also strengthen it too. So it's some strange stuff going on.
Well, once again, putting that video into context, when the discussion was you going to Atlanta, when he said Atlanta, if you didn't know he said Atlanta, it sounded like he said, you going to that nigga's house, or you going to that strip club, or you going to that club. Like, he said it with that same frequency. So it didn't matter that it was Atlanta, because he made Atlanta sound like it was one thing and one thing only. Like there's a line waiting out at outside Atlanta.
Let me ask you a question. When we were younger and you said you were going to Atlanta, what's the first thing that came to your mind?
Right. Well, that's we know. But for a lot of people, that they didn't hear that. They heard, they heard something else. They heard, because people pick sides. They say, well, the woman was this, or the guy heard it, and but when I hear it, I'm hearing what they both meant. Because she said Atlanta the way he did, she just said it a little bit different. She was just saying, like, yeah, I'm going to Atlanta. You know it's in Atlanta. Why you tripping?
Did she say she was going to possibly do a photo shoot too?
Oh, bro.
I didn't hear that part.
She slipped that in, man. She said that like, what if I do a photo shoot?
I'm going to slide in and do a photo shoot. While I'm there during COVID.
Right.
Who's doing a photo shoot? Who's doing a photo shoot during COVID? Like
during COVID, during All-Star game.
By the way,
there are a lot of COVID models out now. I don't know if you've ever seen that. There are photo shoots happening.
The surge of COVID models. Oh, hell no, man. For real.
I'm just saying, I see him. I mean, you like a couple of them, but some of them, I'm just like, man, put your phone down, please.
Oh, damn.
Look, hey, if we're being honest, how many selfies do you need to put up of yourself a day?
Thank you. How
many?
That part.
I'm getting sick of looking at my own face right now.
Thank you.
I don't put up that many selfies.
Right. It's but to be fair, there's a lot of distrust when it comes to relationships, and now we're gonna I'm just kind of segue that into the idea of why do relationships fail, and why do you feel marriages fail? Because if that was a marriage, or if that was just a relationship, it's worse when it's a marriage because there's a contract involved. You know what I mean? But when you're girlfriend and boyfriend, it still don't make it feel any better if that's what's going on. Right. But in your mind frame, why do you think it gets to that point? What was the thing everyone missed? Like, we're watching this movie, and what is the thing that they missed to get to that place? Because you feel like that shit should be like Snowpiercer. It should be like some emergency brakes, some shit that just get that kicks in like, stop. But what was the thing that everyone missed, and it got there successfully, if you will? Anyone can take it.
What do you say? You said trust. Yeah, I agree.
Who knows what happened to make him react like that? What's happened in the beginning? before we saw that clip. You know, was it something she did? Has he always been insecure? You know, sounding insecure like that? Was an issue of him that he did something he felt guilty about, and he just started hitting it? You know, started questioning her out of guilt. You know, we don't know what happens before that and what takes people to that level.
Well, you're saying something serious though, because most people don't even wait for that part. Most people don't say, okay, well, there was a lead up, right? Like most people kind of just go after what they already are right then and there, and say he's an abuser or he's this. When there was a growth period that got to that point, because I find it difficult that anybody, you know, the first day you meet somebody, you're just an aggressive asshole. Like that just came out, that grew over time, and somehow somebody missed it and didn't slam on the brakes. And I'm not even looking at her, I'm looking at him, because once you get to that space, how do you stay in a situation and fester it even more? Like what in your mind gets a person to that place where they're like, all right, I'll accept this dog shit. You know.
Wow.
You know, that feeling is horrible. Like, no one wants to feel insecure.
No.
So
there's so many. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Have either of you guys like been in a relationship long enough where you are in couples therapy? Like, because and like it's relatively new to me. So like what are your thoughts on that?
You mean like couples therapy? I mean, I've been there.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what that looks like. And for a lot of people who, you know, who have issues kind of talking or communicating, and once again, I don't think that is something that you come in with. Like no one, I've never seen a situation where it's you meet someone and someone stays with you knowing you don't know how to talk. Like somewhere you just stop talking, or you don't want them to know what you're talking about anymore. There's a communication gap. But it may work for some people, but it's not a one trick pony, if you will. Like it's not gonna. You got to be able to talk to people anyway.
Yeah, agreed.
You have to be able to translate that information to what she's saying to you from a real place, meaning nobody's going to fight for things that they don't want or need. If you need it, there's no amount of counseling. I mean, if you don't need it, the counseling ain't going to help. It's going to help you say, I don't need it. You know, it'll help you be truthful about that. But, you know, what say you about that idea of being counseled in reference to your relationship, Clay?
See, that's the thing. I've never done counseling, you know, couples therapy or none of that. I just sat down with the person, and you know, as you matured, you're not the same person as you were in your 20s. I was like, whatever you're talking about, as you get older, you know, you sit down and you talk it out. You're a different person, because if you don't have too many people to talk to, you have to face that person. And you have to be able to be vulnerable and raw with that person, even though they're not going to like it. But, you know, that comes with age and wisdom and everything else. But as far as getting other people involved, all they can do is offer their opinion. I mean, you're going to have to pull the trigger, or you're going to have to do the work. So, and I've never been in a marriage, but, you know, damn near close to it. But, you know, we all have these ideas in our head, whether they're our own, so we think, or examples of things that we've seen. And, you know, you just got to be open and raw. And if you want it, like you say, you're going to move forward. If you don't want it, you're not going to do anything else to help it.
Right.
And
it takes
some people. Some people are not strong enough to pull the trigger. They just hope the other person makes the decision for them so they can, you know, do what they got to do. So it's work on both sides. This is just hard. You're dealing with human beings. Have you seen last year?
Right.
Yeah. And I think
welcome to the
context. Sorry, I didn't mean to catch you off.
No, I was just saying, welcome to the cartoon. Continue.
I was just saying also that, like, in the context, any relationship, however it was going pre-COVID, right? Pre-COVID, however it was going pre-COVID, and then you add COVID, and then you add the length of it and the fear, and then some idiot saying a bunch of things to scare people and having the power to carry it out. You know what I mean? And that just kind of being in a pot, being stirred around, and then you look at your relationship and you're like, I don't know what's happening, you know?
Right.
So,
right.
So I think
and you hear about COVID having some of the side effects of like brain fog, if you will. Trauma causes fog in a brain. You know, when people are traumatized, which we all were last year, always. I mean, 500,000 people died. I mean, that doesn't really not traumatize you. Like, you're going to be traumatized as a collective. We're all molested by it. We were all put in a space in which we all felt like our uncle touched us. And, you know, and for a lot of us, not being able to talk to each other, like most molestations, right? They suffer from being able to communicate, hey, I'm being molested.
Right.
We were all in similar situations in that we haven't realized the power in the talk up until closer to your point about the election and us communicating that we need to make this happen. We'll take the other side, but this needs to change up. And we collectively kind of communicated that. In the face of craziness. In relationships, that's transferable. Because there's relationships that there's a breakthrough moment and you're like, okay, we need to vote. All right, we're going to talk. All right, check this out. And you talk. And then there's those moments in which, you know, there's nothing that you can say. Like, because one, maybe you said it all. Two, you figure the other person's not going to get it. You want to waste any more time. What say you about the power of communication? And you could take that communication wherever, you know, just being able to talk to people, especially in a relationship. How important is that to you?
Personally, I think that communication is key, but knowing who you are is just as important, because you have to have something to communicate, and also you have to do a lot of work on yourself to be able to know what you're feeling and know how to put it into words in order to properly communicate it to your partner, you know, to your friends, to other people, you know. And that's something that is something that you work on throughout your life, you know.
You know, it's funny that you said that. You know, it's funny that you said that because that's what they tell presidential campaigns.
Really,
the idea of you gotta know what your message is.
Right. You
know, you gotta be living what you're doing so that you can convey the message so people can follow you and do that. Right? Like that it sounds so easy in, you know, someone representing who they are. Because that shit is, I mean, it sounds like we got some crazy ass expectations out of people. Like that shit sounds fucking easy. But when you know your damn purpose and as good as things are about things, there's also a brutality to it. Truth is brutal. Love is brutal. Love don't give a damn. If I love my kids and you standing in the way, you going down. That's love. You know,
that's love.
My brother and sister. True. That's brutal. But we say this purpose. We say this, you know, live your truth and all that shit like it ain't brutal. And I think people use brutality or the word brutality or the meaning of brutality has been looked in a wrong way. Love is gentle, but it's also brutal. It's the ocean. It's the sun.
Because it can be anything. It can be anything.
Shit is power. It's just power.
It's going to be the truth, whether you like it or not.
Right. You know? Yeah.
And we ask people, we expect people to be their purpose.
Right.
And that shit is a cross. You know what I'm saying? That we all bear in our own ways. Like, you know how brutal it is. Maybe you don't want to say goodbye to everyone, you know, or your closest people, because they're not going to get it. And they're in your way, right? But you got to say bye to them.
Right.
And anybody that it's normally the coolest ones. And then the people that supposed to be with you along the way ain't the coolest. They're uncomfortable to be around. And it makes for a harder run because everybody thinks success is like just this beautiful sunshine ray, which it is, but both things can be true. It's also brutal. It's also
you know, to add to your point, like I once thought like that, and I once, you know, I was in a way kind of raised like that, but not really raised. That's a long story, but my point is that when we're talking about our perception of what the world is, how to build, how to relate with people in a relationship and those sorts of things, there was with myself, and it's something that I held, a perception that it was like a zero-sum game, you know? And I felt like I was caught in this thing where it was like, oh, well, if it came to me and whatever, then I would X, you know what I'm saying? But when you do that, you put control outside yourself to do the right thing in a lot of instances, you know, and you have to start asking some questions, you know, like, and I did some reading, and the concept of Ubuntu comes to mind. And other than I think it's a software platform, but that aside, the concept is that we all win together, you know? And there is nothing that says that we can't do that, but because everyone thinks that our resources are scarce and thinks that this is a zero-sum situation, meaning like it's either me or you know, it's you against the world, you know, and in a lot of ways it's not like that, but you have to have the courage to think that way and to act that way, to put your money behind what you believe and to be that first person to kind of stop those. Because even if we don't believe that we should think that way, a lot of times our behavior is made that way. But if you look at people who are wealthy, people who are successful and live in an environment that sort of plays this volleyball with their success, because they're always, they expect you to be good and to do good. It's like they have this socialism in their own group amongst themselves, while the rest of us are out here practicing rugged capitalism, if you know what I mean. And that means that we're thinking, it's like, I'm afraid for my being. It makes you afraid to try and reach out to someone that looks like you and say, hey man, I know we had that moment back there, but I wasn't thinking of crazy shit, you know, like let's talk, let's have a beer, let's chill, you know, what are you thinking? You know, and you find out a lot of times that they're thinking the same thing you are, you know. And I think that that's the awakening that's coming about here, you know, this slow awakening that's permeating every piece and part of our lives and what we see and that sort of thing. It's coming to a point where you're like, you have an option, you know. You can either proceed in fear, or you can, you know, kind of just, you know, cut out anew. You know, and just
that's why we were just talking about why purpose is so powerful.
Yeah.
And when I say brutal, I'm being funny. It's just power. The power of the sun is many things, but it's appreciated. In all of its forms, right? Like, so we can't live without it. The same thing to your point of applying certain ideas about how life is supposed to be. Sometimes when you're trying to be who you are, there is a selfishness that is combined. Purpose a lot of times it's built because of service. You're giving of your entire life, and as a result, there's a selfishness that is perceived from that purpose of not being loyal to one specific thing or person.
Right.
You know, so if you got to move with your purpose, you're gonna move. Hey, bro, this is where I gotta go.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
If you got to rebuild yourself, you know, sometimes the purpose requires you to lose everything, even when you don't want it.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not because the purpose don't give a fuck about nobody. It's that the purpose requires certain environments to fulfill its purpose. Just, you know, to keep manufacturing that, in which, you know, you think about why people will give up maybe a good job and then go to like Africa and, you know, spend their time living in huts, giving to kids, because that is their purpose. They're leaving family behind. They're leaving, you know, in their minds, they're thinking that this is the way. But a lot of times what relationships pose is a compromise in which purpose does not allow. So in this world of compromise, we start feeling jaded and start resenting each other based on feeling stifled. Because someone doesn't know when their purpose is going to show up. Right?
Yeah.
Some people, their purpose showed up when they was 15. They didn't even know how to deal with that shit. You know, and everybody that comes around them, some people's purpose is the wino that realizes he's got to go save some kids. Everybody was focused on the wino, but they didn't realize his whole purpose was saving kids. You know, so that shit leaves people behind on many levels. What they knew of you, your lack of compromise, because a true purpose does not compromise anything. It only adds to its purpose. It only like really kind of evolves and spaces out the purpose even more. It becomes stronger than the person. You hear that shit all the time, right? It's bigger than you, right? So you're only here to get to first base so this nigga can come home. And you gotta be okay with that, right?
Yeah.
And so translate that into relationships. And so here you have the divide, whereas people become the purpose. Whereas, you know, what society wants you to be becomes the purpose. And you begin to realize all of the madness, like the bad slop, you know, the chemical radiation that comes from compromising your purpose and concentrate. So in lieu of your own purpose, you become insecure. Because you're not secure in where you want to be or who you want to be. So everything is a potential security. Stocks and bonds, friendship, all of these motherfuckers out here, you're grabbing for some sort of security. And when they, you know, glitch the matrix, if you will, and do something you wasn't prepared for, now you're in doubt. Whereas your purpose, right, it gives you that security from the door. Because it don't matter what you got. You can be broke when you do it. You can be rich when you do it. You can be with everyone when you do it. You can be completely alone when you do it. But either way, you got $100 in your wallet at all times. Oh, you leaving me? Okay, I guess that's the part of the story.
I got $100.
Right. You know, I'm okay with that. Thank you for the time you spent with me. I'm out. And there's a different approach to it. Whereas we become insecure is in lieu of our purpose. So since we're not feeling like we got anything else and we're not made, and you hear all the time, well, just make me your world and, you know, or be this to me. And then you realize, damn, I just wasted all this motherfucking time when I could have been doing this and this didn't require that.
Right.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Now with social media and everything, we had to do everything hand-to-hand combat back in the day as far as relationships.
Right.
Now it seems like there's an easy out for some, not all, but there's just so much out there that is unknown. Instead of putting in the work and working what you got, you can just go pick up the next thing and play with it for a little while, or mold it how you think it should be, or even just deal with a different situation. And it just seems like, I guess it sounds good, for the long haul. It may be not old school thinking the way it should be, but people have ADD when it comes to these relationship things. They're in, they're out, they're in, they're out because they're not getting what they need. But have they actually done the work to where they can be fulfilled?
Well, if I could respond to that, I feel like when you're talking about those kind of things, what are we really asking? Like if I expect to be confirmed through someone else, then the purpose ain't mine, is it?
Oh, absolutely.
Because your purpose isn't for someone else to confirm that per se, or even for you to, you might not live long enough to even realize the work you've done.
Absolutely.
Right? Like you might not even live that long. So the idea of someone else being able to supply that is ridiculous on its face.
Oh, absolutely.
And laughable at best. But no, I'm saying this is what we expect out of relationships. We expect things to work based on what? What is work? Some things that work are beyond your own paycheck. You know what I'm saying? Like above your pay grade. Like you don't know what work is, because how many times have we been in a situation in which we thought it was going to go one way and there was no signs, like based on all of our experience, we've never seen any kind of schematic built up on how something completely different came out of the situation. You couldn't even think about it. Like there's no way you could figure it out. So with that said, a lot of times we expect these things out of people. And once again, a purpose is greedy. It's greedy for the right reasons. I mean, I don't know, greedy for Golden Corral. Maybe that's not a good enough reason to be greedy. Greedy to, have all these hordes and billions of dollars. Mine. Maybe that's not, But greed in love is beautiful when it works, right? Like when someone's loving someone, like they make it their mission to just, I just love this. Like how we all feel about hip hop. Like we look like hip hop has took our lives in a greedy way. I remember staying up all night just to be with hip hop. I remember fucking going to every club every night, even if I was broke. For hip hop. So when we think about and because we loved it, not because there was some malicious intent. We just couldn't. We wanted that time so bad that we were willing to give it 24 hours a day, 48 hours sometimes. And that's really where the bar should be set. Because hip hop at times may have worked. Somebody may have got a check out of it, lived a better life. Some people, got drama out of it. But I would never hear them say, man, I should never fuck with hip hop. You'll never hear that.
Never.
So I'm just saying to you in that regards, a lot of times the power is in perception.
Agreed.
How you perceive something is where your power really lies. So if you don't even notice it, we go back to that ignorance is bliss. If you caught up in your purpose, he probably wouldn't even been there talking to her. He wouldn't even notice her going, oh, did you leave?
Yeah.
Because that's what purpose does. Like, I didn't even know you left. I'm like, I was so caught up in this. Oh, right, okay. I see you tomorrow. And you do what you're doing, and it fits.
Right. That's a good way to bring it home. If he were caught up in his purpose, he probably would not be kind of putting himself out there. And I don't think he realized that as he was, trying to call attention to her, he's calling more attention to himself in a lot of ways.
It was a cry out for help. It was a cry for help in his regard. The phone itself was a cry for help. He's like, help me. Somebody help me. I don't understand this. And the shit's right in his face because once again, this old notion that you have to compromise your purpose for someone else is like, buying. Remember that dude that sold houses down here, and like he got arrested at the federal court. That it was like he ran infomercials all over the motherfucker. Like, he buy this house, you can have this house. I forgot his name, man. So if anybody in the comments know his name, but yeah, it was like that. Someone selling you the idea that if you give up your purpose, you're gonna get this nice house.
Right.
You're gonna get this nice and women ask of it, men ask it.
Right.
We all asked some impossible shit from each other that just doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely.
It's true. And a lot of that impossible shit is based in our expectation based on who, however our dating career, if you will, manifested up to that point. I can say that, I wasn't a saint, and I know that I brought some extra cognition to situations that didn't require it,
Man, look, I love that you said that. I love that you said that.
You know what I'm saying?
Because
that's real.
The notion that you could research crazy is like crazy. That's like Looney Tune. No, you can't. If a motherfucker, we all are crazy. We all are bringing crazy along with us because being human is to be of two things. You're sane and you're crazy. And you have to live with those two things, and anyone that's living with you has to live with those two things. Just like you got to live with their two things.
Yeah. What level are you at?
Right. But
this minute. Yeah.
That's right.
It's changing.
There's people that jump out of planes when they're 40. And probably never did until they were 40. So they got 40 years of doing what everybody thought he was going to do. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's impossible too. How do you answer that question, or expect anyone to answer it? Like, okay, when are you gonna go full fucking blown psycho on me? Because you got it. We all got it.
Yeah,
it's in there.
Yeah, I just the notion of it, because I went there, I visited, I spent a couple nights, came home, and I'm just like, just the energy that comes from that is expended to do that. I have no interest in that. I think there's a certain thing that comes from like wanting simplicity,
right?
And
that's where your purpose demands.
Right.
Your purpose demands at all times simplicity. Like, it moves people out of the way. Like, I ain't fucking with that dude. That nigga's a maniac. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times you said that? Like, wow, this guy is going somewhere. I don't know. I know that I'm not going over there, but he's going there, and there's nothing no one can do about that. Like, when someone is that's purpose. Like, it moves everybody. Like, here I am, I'm moving furniture. This ain't even my house, but that's what that does. Yep. If you're that in that relationship, then that's the natural order of things. This should be nothing to feel bad about or guilty about. This is where this allowed me to do all my failures or my lessons. I'm in class right now and probably being to the fucking wheels fall off this bitch. So that doesn't mean you're gonna be with me all through high school. You know what I'm saying? Or college. You don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Even the commitment is not the ill thing, because that's like you saying, okay, we finna go rob this bank, and I'm riding with you. I'm going, damn, what we doing? I'm riding. Well, that means you're gonna be with him forever, but there might be some courts that say you're gonna be there forever with him because of what you did. But that doesn't mean you're gonna be with that, but you are committed to the moment. So saying yes to a marriage shouldn't, I don't give a fuck how many marriages you're in, because at the end of the day, someone saying they're committed to something just means this moment right here, I'm all in. Yeah. But it doesn't mean forever, in the sense of, expiration dates on all of us. Obviously, 500,000 expiration dates went down that we weren't aware of, that nobody was aware of.
Of course, but it's like that's why there's anniversaries. You know, that's like the
right
time to negotiate. You know, right. You renegotiate your contract.
Right.
And if it works out, then it works out. Like you take a look at like how things went, you reevaluate, and it's like a project, you know. And it doesn't have to be an end all be all. You know, you think of it as like this is my teammate, this is my partner, this is a person that has my back, you know.
Right.
And I have this person's back, and you know, you just try and like keep it moving and keep it rolling. But at the same time, you know, you stop and you take that moment because you remember what it was like, you know, or when you were with the wrong person, and you're like, okay, yeah, I think I'll continue down the road, you know. And that's, you know, I got married, was it last October, you know, October of last year, and I was like, I got no regrets, you know. There's no one else out there that I want to be with, you know, and there's no other place that I would be. I got my 2 little ones, you know, and I can say this, there's like a feeling when I am not around them where I want to be with them. You know what I mean? I feel like my place is with my, you know what I'm saying? With my wife, with my family. Right. And that's a feeling that I never felt. And I can honestly say that's a feeling that I never felt, like straight up. Like that's weird. Like I'm like, what the hell's happening to me? You know, I'm a grown man. I'm out here like, feeling like, you know, and it happened at a time. And I tell my wife this because I had this nice apartment. In Washington Heights, bro. Oh, right across from the Cloisters, all by myself, 1 bedroom with a sunken like little joint. And I was like, I love that apartment. Yeah. But I was like, this was, you know, a few years ago before we got married. And I was like, you know, I would have like a weekend off from work and I, you know, come home Friday night and I'm like, well, I could go down and get a drink at this place or hang out with so-and-so, whatever. I was like, all I wanted to do is go and hang out in Brooklyn with, you know, the woman that would be my wife, you know what I'm saying? And the little boy. And I was like, that's all I wanted to do. I was like, shit, now I got to get rid of my apartment, you know? But it's that feeling. It's that feeling, you know?
But the apartment is an inanimate object.
You're right. And that's how I rationalized it.
Right. Those things should be given up.
You're right. It should be given up, but it was a nice apartment.
No. When I'm saying given up, not that it's, you know, like who doesn't want to give up ownership of anything or feel like that this is my little square. I'm just saying, giving up something that does not matter.
You're right.
Because purpose doesn't have an address. We give it an address. But that's not the address.
Exactly.
You know, that's some shit we're posting in a phone book. You know, it's a wrong number, motherfucker. You know, I know where I'm gonna be. You know, you know what I'm saying?
It's funny. It might be, you know, a little bit off base, but you know, never been married, haven't, you know, gone down that aisle that way. Roman, it's funny because this ties back into your video that you posted. Back when I thought I wanted to go down that aisle, had the opportunity to go to Atlanta for the All-Star game. And
Atlanta's a problem.
That part.
You know, my roommate went and everything. I had a chance to be one of my favorite basketball players. You know, they're honoring him. I'm like, yo, that's one of the reasons I bought like dream come true trip. But what I did is I stayed here because I wanted to, you know, propose. You know, sneak up and do the whole romantic thing and propose and everything. And didn't go, but you know, Rome, we know everybody. Somebody spotted me, was like, you know, he's, you know, here. And you know, I'm watching the slam dunk contest, and all of a sudden I get a knock on my door before I get ready to, you know, take off and everything. And, you know, sitting there, the car is pulled up to the front door with a Bible.
Wow.
Leave me to riot act for 2 hours. Right?
What?
Yes, I sat there and took it for 2 hours. I just had to get up and take a pee break. Right?
Wow.
In that moment, in that pee break, it came down to all of that to where I could not see myself moving forward together.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that was the closest I came to it. It's a wild story. You know, I got a million of them, but I just did not see continuing life with that because I already saw what was coming.
Right.
You know, and I was like, you bleed everybody else. And I was like, listen, I'm trying to do something sweet. And I felt, you know, back then you feel like a sucker, right?
Yep. Right. Like a fucking lollipop, like the cartoons.
But I needed to see that.
That's right.
Because everything else, like we say with purpose, is when everything that I talked about to that time that I was putting to the side that I wanted to do that was looked down upon, and I just conformed to be there. The next year, everything just started opening up. Yeah. Everything that I wanted to happen in my life, it opened up. I don't know if I was a new person. The opportunity opened up when people saw the look on my face. You know, I was more cheerful. I was more receptive. That my purpose for what I loved and what I wanted to do started showing itself to me. Right. I just started going. So, it was, you know, unique story. I mean, I can't go, 50 levels deep like you brothers can, but I just thought that would tie back into the Atlanta story.
No, that's I mean, that's what you just said is the truth.
That's true. It's true.
Because at the end of the day, once again, purpose don't give a fuck about what we trying to do.
You think you in love? Watch this.
Watch this. Boom. Here you go.
Let's show you who this person really is, like Scooby Doo.
And that's why there's a lot.
And I would have got away with it if it wasn't for those meddling kids.
Meddling kids, bro.
I washed my hands for those 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, all right, that's it. It took, after all those years, 20 seconds. I was like, nah.
Dunzo.
I don't see
But
it.
you sound great in that space, meaning, purposeful in that space. For a lot of people, and we're segueing into my my next point, which is I talked to somebody not too long ago about their idea of what, living in a world full of science and facts. And, because he was a scientist and he was talking about, the idea or the main argument, which is once you believe in science, there is no God. But when he said that, I had to rebut, because for me, it was just like, okay, well, that may be a truth. But have you ever acknowledged that there is a force out there that has nothing to do with your logic or your math or your science? It doesn't live in those dimensions. At the end of the day, like we are people who, if we expected to live in a fucking fact, science-based society, and you hear this all the time, facts. Oh yeah, it's facts. And everybody's celebrating when the math is good. If you a damn tax attorney and that math shows up that you had a plus, you have made more, you celebrate. But when that math is cold and that bitch says you've lost your house, your wife is gonna leave you, you're going to jail, on the side of that math and those facts, the world is like a different place for you, regardless to what that math is. And so imagine, being in a world of math where everything is done by math. So they say, okay, well, based on our math, if we eliminate these people, we'll have 40 more years of sustenance, or we'll have 40 more years of being able to take care of ourselves. We just got to eliminate these 30,000 or 40,000 people.
But
and what I'm saying is math is when it works, everyone's celebrating. But when it's against you, it is a cold place to live. And math works with purpose because it can be cold as well. But love is not logical. No. Faith is not logical. Mm-hmm. No. Forgiveness is not logical. The things of value on this planet or not logical. They sustain us when the world of math is fucking cold. Because if you are living in this cold world of, you know, kind of just this artificial intelligent state of being, then you'll hear all the time, why don't I matter? Or why don't you love me? You hear this all the time. Well, if you're living in a society that's based on math and science, a lot of that shit don't give a, I mean, that don't give, math don't care who it affects. It just, that's what it is. True. And there's a coldness about that in the wrong hands, when we give it to a Trump.
I'm about to go to my kid's toy bin and go get a spaceship right now. That's where you,
but
that's where you got me right now, buddy.
Well, I was talking to this dude and I said, you know, yeah, that's cool and all, but thank God for love, because when you want to make a decision that affects a family, sometimes the math isn't important. You have to have love first, and it's not logical. It doesn't even sometimes give you a logical. I mean, like an answer. Like sometimes it's just you just love it. You don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. You just gonna love it. But the math world, the science world, is cold as fuck. And so, what say you about this idea of living in a world full of facts and math? We're living in it now. Everybody's about money, and just give me the facts.
Well, I'll just, first of all, I disagree with a lot of what you said, but I agree with a lot of what you said. All right. Okay. And fundamentally, I say, whoever that person was that you were talking to, right, just don't take that with a grain of salt.
Oh yeah. I mean, it
does not mean
right. I'm not even worried about it.
Science is not necessarily. Science is not anti-God.
No, it isn't. And no, it isn't. It's math is cold. Once again, it doesn't care. So math proves there is a God, because there's numbers. I mean, in basic math, basic algebra, there's equations in which there is no answer.
Okay.
Right.
I'll take your word for it, but
yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if you guys know.
I don't know. Like I'm not that savvy.
Unequal and equal equations in which at times there's no answer to it. There's just and scientists they use the infinity symbol, as a way to answer something that's really, it's a nice way of saying we don't know the fucking answer. So they just continue it. Science proves there's God. Math proves there's God. And like most living species, you know, in human beings, we all live on the good and the bad. So the idea that we can't, as a people, feel, even, no matter how much we got to keep risking it, but have humans making decisions versus an AI making a decision, where there is math, science, and just that. No love, no empathy, because artificial intelligence cannot, that's not logical, it's not math. And then two, and I just want to say this, and then you can answer, Errol. We live in a world right now in which these things are pretty much running the country. We're all becoming these, spitting out facts, spitting out math, and surprisingly wonder why we're not loving to each other, or we're not forgiving towards one another. And then in an ironic way, math and science would have concluded there is no God. So we basically created this thing to be a God, right? So we are creating the very thing that we say doesn't exist. Right. Because, you know, in diplomatic circles, in diplomatic senses, it wasn't me that created that decision. Math did it. We're a world right now that doesn't take responsibility for half the shit it does. You don't think it'd be easier to get to say, well, this is just the math?
Right.
I didn't make that decision.
Well,
I didn't do it.
It's not
me.
about.
It's the law. It's this. It's not me. And we take so much of the human. See, blind. Math isn't blind. Math sees. So does fucking science. That's the whole purpose of it. It sees. There's no blindness to it. Love is the blind, because to love someone, you have to be blind to certain things of what you're loving. Not because you necessarily think that's a great decision, but sometimes it's required of you. You know, like there's family that have been lost that have had to just literally, even though they see everything burning down around them, have had to just suck it up and just love this person because they're going through it right now. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying all of that to say that sometimes we better be wise to what in which we ask, because we don't realize the error of our ways sometimes and what we're asking, what we're really asking for. We're asking to be convenienced and to not have so much responsibility, so something else can do it. And in that fucking world, it's cold, buddy. It's cold. Don't give a fuck about you. Don't give a fuck who's in your family. You know, don't care. It's ruling off facts. You said you wanted facts, don't you? Well, here are the facts. What if your ass is too black to be here?
Right. But let's can I shift a little bit? Can I pivot a little bit?
You see where I'm going with this? Anything going to those numbers, and given the right person that the numbers are talking to and their interpretation of those numbers, that in the absence of love, you'll be killed by the science, because math has no friends in that regard. It just is what it is.
I hesitate to personify math and to personify those things, because especially in my profession, let's say, or one of my professions, to work with data, to work with empirical data, it's a tool.
Ones and zeros, right?
Ones and zeros. It's a tool. So we can't look at it like an omnipresent God per se, but the math is a tool. Science really means all we know right now, that has a tiered system to reproduce, causes, outcomes, so to talk about an AI presence and a this and a that, just the point where you're talking about, this cold hard facts, cold hard truths. We are dynamic by nature. We are dynamic by nature, and the numbers. I'll let the numbers explain what we do. The key performance indicators are those things that say that if you have precisely this amount of stuff, or you have this behavior that could be tied to it, and then you get this outcome. That's the real. That's the real value that Facebook has, and this is where, because I've had colleagues and friends that, have worked, in the technology space, and those companies, that particular company doesn't share those KPIs, which means it knows our behaviors. It knows what we do when we see a picture. It knows what our preferences are, and they're at the point where they create, and I say they, I mean the software companies, they create profiles, profiles of people like us. Right. And they say, oh, a person that makes this much money, that has, that's this age, that's from this region, so on and so forth. you know, they'll say that this person will pick this product, you know, and that's the real thing, along with the interactions on Facebook that give that whole company all those hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, is because they can predict our activity.
Right.
So we don't have to be a slave to it by any means. You know,
we don't have to be racist, right? We don't have to be mean, but we are. No. What say you, Clay? What say you, Clay?
Number one, y'all were talking about 12 levels above my pay grade. I didn't know we were going to be drinking in church today.
Talk your shit, Clay. Talk your shit.
But I had a meeting years ago with an old company, and I was privy enough to sit down with the old friend to something that they were pitching. It was like, hey, we want to see who's online right now, how old they are, you know, things they're looking for, and we can make it pop up right now. You know, hey, I'm looking for a car. Boom, this car can, you know, pop up right now. Boom, boom. And, you know, I sat there, and after about 5 minutes, I got scared. I went, oh, shit.
I got scared.
You know, and I mean, we've been in the club when people have been fighting and shooting and everything else. That's a different type of scared, right?
Right.
Me as a grown man sitting there in a suit and tie, and it just clicked. Before really, you know, the ads started popping up and all these different things, it suggested it's the frequency of the messages, advertising, right?
That's right.
And I saw, you know, when it was taking over, I guess it was MySpace. Then it went, you know, to Facebook, and people were complaining about, oh, it's too many ads or whatever. That there's nothing you're going to do about it because someone has monetized this.
That's right.
And or the technology has always been here. We just didn't have access to it.
That's right.
They didn't have a way to regulate it yet, to monetize it.
That's right.
When everybody else got in the game, it was too late.
That's right.
Right. So when I see people complaining about the different things, oh, they know this, they're better, I can't say this, say that. You're late. They already had you. They know what you're going to do, what time you're going to do it, and who you're going to do it with.
That's right.
On the next episode of the Twilight Zone,
right?
Yeah.
You know, and he's talking some real shit, because he's saying the fear, like, oh shit, we got this kind of power, and once again, I'm prefacing this all under the idea of theological, which is love, which is faith, which is, you know, forgiving, which is, you know, being able to kind of de-escalate things as you see fit. And this world of this opposing power of this, now logically it makes sense to cancel this person, or logically it makes sense to not love this person because they did this and they're more likely to do this. And so, like, all of this fucking madness that comes out of shit sometimes, it's like we don't even know the story, but yet we got all of these patterns in which most likely tell the story. But we don't, when we hear our story back to us, that shit isn't a front. Oh, if you grew up in the hood, you're most likely to go to jail, be in prison, and how many years is that going on, whereas people have been able to break the cycle?
Yeah.
Not so much because the math was right, but because hip hop or other things, you know, record execs and these motherfuckers that seen an interest in that were able to just kind of and influence. If hip hop influences people, how the fuck does not math and science not influence people? And when I'm saying, like, if people are out here with all facts, like they're fucking Encyclopedia Britannicas because they Googled something.
Yeah.
How is that not influencing them on how they think? Like, we're thinking like, no, they couldn't be influenced by AI, but we were the influencers that are teaching these things how to influence, and then they end up influencing us. And then there's a lot of half of us are strong, half of us are weak. That's the yin and the yang.
I had to share with my friend the other day. You know, there's been some things with people I thought. What was that?
No, I was saying they have our attention.
Finish your point, Clay, and then I'll let him speak.
I felt like within the past couple of years, people, are highly intelligent in some spaces, and other places, in spaces they're naive,
Right.
And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at it, and I was like, we think this person has it all together, and you have to really strip it back. We all are always forever a student. We're always forming and learning, but you hold these people up here, they're the smartest. It's been like that since we were kids. This person's smart, we're gonna hold them there. But then we're like, damn, that motherfucker can't be that dumb. Right? It's a shock.
Yep.
It's a shock. So it's scary for what the future holds when, like you say, facts and science, and then, you're taking out the human element.
Right, because what makes us human is the illogical.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the ability to reason, but what allows us to live fruitful lives is the ability to live outside of that logic. Because
so you're saying a robot's gonna be wiping our ass when we get older, and it's
well, I never thought I'd live to see a motherfucker be like, Alexa, play blah blah blah, or anytime I'm having a regular conversation, my phone starts yapping at me. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't even say nothing to you. Right.
The Jetsons.
And then you have people that emulate this technology, in which you have people that answer to things that maybe none of their business. We call it trolling. I'm guilty of it because I just like the humor in it. But,
I've seen you.
Right. But there's also the idea of looking at each other as a fucking Bitcoin. You're either an asset or you're not. And I don't expect a dog to love you, let alone a motherfucker with a human being, because that kind of outlook on life doesn't have room for love. I mean, because math in and of itself is greedy. They made movies about it. Fucking the one with Jim Carrey in it. Remember that fucking crazy ass movie? The numbers, the patterns. He started living his whole life on those fucking numbers. And it traced him right back to, traced him back to himself. Right? Now I know it's not that dramatic, but it's like a loop. Yeah. We create these loops in our lives that allow us to kind of function. We get up every day and go to work, go home, eat dinner. That's the loop. And then every once in a while, to feel alive, you get the fuck out of that loop. Like, all right, just stop the beat. Stop the NPC. Let me go do some weird shit real quick. Get back to the loop.
Yep.
And that shit is insane. And that, that's before the fucking AI. So I'm just trying to see what my people, me and them feel on the idea of living in a world in which we're all fucking in these NPC loops, running around, and then judging people on whether they stay in the loop. As soon as motherfucker jump out of that loop, start being a drum field somewhere else, playing bass, or fucking, just a new song, nigga. I'm out. Before they can, they were like, well, why didn't you get back in the loop? I liked you better when you were in the loop. Well, fuck you. I don't fit in this matrix.
Yeah.
How many people have had their dreams crushed? We're going to segue into the idea of dreams and purpose. Like, how valuable is your purpose? What are you willing to give up for it? Most people give up on a regular basis money. So they'll get, for money, they'll sell out their fucking purpose in fucking 10 seconds. Because the world done told them they need everything secure. They need everything kind of fucking one way. I need to pay these bills. I need to do this. Which no one's arguing with. That's the world we live in. But there's also these set of dreamers that look at this and say, fuck all of that. I got to live this. And if I do 90% of it, the universe will return profit for me. I don't know where it's coming from. This person will owe me jack. This person, it might not be from that person, but it's coming, goddammit. I just got to do like 90% of this shit and just say fuck everything else. And we see stories of it all the time, like perfect business models of people that didn't have a fucking thing, and they just said, I'm gonna do this. That's all I'm doing. I don't care. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm gonna do it.
Right.
And then they do it, and then you see the whole they fucking influenced the whole new fucking whatever that is.
Yep.
Meanwhile, we're still trying to talk ourselves into getting back in that NPC, in that fucking loop.
Yeah.
And being safe, where the beat runs 120 beats per minute, but it's a fucking loop. Yeah, it's a hot beat, but I don't want to listen to fucking when Doves Cry for fucking 90 years. I don't want to do that.
That's what hell sounds like, man.
Right. Like, you gonna play that song one time, man.
It's like 3 years listening to In the Club by 50 Cent for like 3 years straight.
Dude, man. That's the worst. Loving a song and being made to hate it because a motherfucker done played it 100 times. So, but we do this every day. What say you about the loop we're all in? We're in the loop of COVID right now. Oh, he died? Boom. Fucking, we're going to get the stimulus money? All right, go. All right. We're going to get the job? All right. Boom. Back to the 8 bars. Let's keep these 8 bars going. I mean, what say you about that? What in your mind do you think is a way to get out of the fucking loop? And that, don't use yourselves, because that's not going to be fair. We're not trying to involve you because you might still be growing. So I'm just saying, in your advice, in your mind, what is a way to get out? Like, give me one thing that could get you out of a loop. Any one of you.
Play.
Crickets? Crickets? Is it crickets?
All right.
Crickets?
I mean, go ahead.
I love the loop.
It's been tough, man. I mean, I'm coming up on a milestone birthday, and this COVID has forced me to sit here and go, what's next? Because it forces you to grow.
Right. You're so fucking right, dude.
It forces you to grow, and you have to sit here and see what you're made of. I mean, there's so many things available to us now, to where now it seems like if you really look at the opportunity, you can go in any direction that you want to, because your norm has been decimated in the past year.
Right.
Your norm has been decimated. So what time in your life, since you were a kid with no bills or anything, just flat, to where you can sit down and went, oh shit, I don't have to keep doing it this way. I can go and do it this way.
Yeah.
I had a chance to possibly educate myself, get certified this way, get educated
about
get
free. Get free.
Get free.
Right, get free. Like this idea of being away from the loop. Like once you get out of the loop, you're actually in a better position to even make just a basic decision. Okay, maybe I want a hamburger now. Okay. Or maybe maybe it's okay if I don't have all the money.
Right.
Exactly. And think about it. And I feel sorry for a lot of people. I mean, I was even caught up in it, with the unemployment situation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
People are defended, but you are forced to find another way.
Right.
And that other way that you found may have been better than what you were used to dealing with. It wasn't that secure. It was that Uber, that Lyft, excuse the names, but the driving platforms or delivering this or delivering that. He was like, wait a minute, I made more money outside of going to somebody else's job doing this. And I got my time back.
Yep.
Real talk. This is what the house was scared of, because once again, what keeps people slaves is the idea that one person is gonna mess it up for everyone else. So it keeps us in the loop, right? So what do you mean not working? Well, I decided just to write my own checks. How you gonna do that? I don't know. But there's 24 hours in a day. Right. There's 24 hours in a day. Something can happen.
This thing took everybody outside and beat everybody, the in-house and the out-house. Went and beat everybody in front of everybody.
That's right. And everybody's sitting there with popcorn like.
All slaves got beat at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
All of them.
And
all of them.
They sell faces. They sell names. You know. People
but it shows you the power of comfort because, you know, the idea once again is money. It's something we can always agree on. It's like hip hop. Like I was just talking to you guys about, you know, the idea of when you fell in love with hip hop and the feeling that you were hooked ever since. Like there was no way out of it. Like I've had to fight people because I was hip hop. Like I've had to get in an argument. Like dude, you know, you see what I'm doing over here? Like, I mean, like, so I can't even not fathom what it is to not have that working for someone mentality. How much you gotta fight. You gotta fight you gotta fight the people that employ you, you gotta fight your home, because your home's gonna say, because the world's telling your home, no man, you're not gonna make it if you don't do this. And all of these people with all these answers, and none of those answers equal to freedom.
Or like, equal to what you want it to.
Well, most people want freedom. Like the freedom to say, all right, there's a cap even on what I want to make. Like all money ain't good money. You hear that talk all the time. Or
that's true.
It don't matter if I make another fucking $1,000 or make it $100. You're making it to be happy. And there's a difference approach that you use with that. Your happiness of money may mean I work at fucking Dollar General.
True.
That may be as simple as you want it. And ain't nothing wrong with that shit. You know, but we all say the bar is here. So unless you're here, you're always at zero until you get here. And then you realize once you get there that it's even fucking scarier than it was below. At least I know that shit. These motherfuckers is crazy. Like all they talk about is like here's all fucking robots around here. Facts, stats, and they do this shit all the time, and you're like, what is going on? I can't be around that either. So money, if anything else, is a fucking merry-go-round of madness. Whereas like your purpose automatically will say, all right, for this moment of your life, you need 20,000. This moment of your life, you need 80,000. This moment of your life, you just need that bad bitch over there and some rum, and you'll be fine. And every time it tells you what you need, and if you're not coherent to get that message, you wind up back in the fucking NPC making that stupid ass loop. That everyone, you know what? Hey, how you doing, buddy? All right, back to sleep. Oh, I hate my life. Oh, love you, wife. You know, and you keep doing this over and over, and nobody remembers any of that shit.
No.
Like, he was a hard worker. He was a hard worker.
You know what I do remember though? Check this out.
You went to work early every day.
Yep.
Think about this.
Your job.
Do you guys remember like what was like when you were probably teenagers or early 20s, like a job that you worked that you hated, but you kind of had fun and really liked the people you work with in Orlando, right? For me, that job was working at the Melting Pot when I was 19.
Dope.
That was fun. It was there were some jobs that were like really crappy there, but like the people that I worked with were funny people, like ridiculous people. I still remember some of their names, you know, and they would just tell jokes or they would melt down. And, you know, I worked in the kitchen, you know, there was this dude Gravy there who always sing this song about like Care Bears and shit. And I was like, is this dude crazy? Like,
like we hear people make fun of teachers all the time, or people that coach, you know, kids groups and stuff like that, or whatever. Like you hear that as like, yeah, but you don't make much money. Like we base everything on such ridiculous, meaningless shit that you know, unless you get out of the loop, there's literally no way. Like you hear this all the time too, like, oh, you just gotta work within the system. No, the fuck you don't. No, the fuck you don't. You just work with chains on. No, motherfucker, I don't want the chains.
We can go directly for what
chains on. I'm like, live all this cotton, live all. No, that's ridiculous. No.
What did they say? They pay you just enough to forget your dreams?
Right. They pay you just enough to work the machines. You start speaking, your ass will be fucking killed. Shut up.
He's a problem. He sounds aggressive. No.
Dump him in the trash.
You're intimidating.
Trash.
Yeah.
Nobody likes you. Go kill yourself. Boom, 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 boom. The list goes on of what we chastise each other over as a people, and then wonder why we can't trust nobody. We make for people to not be trusted means they were not human. Like if somebody making a fucking mistake, like they love me too hard and maybe did some dumbass shit, I can overlook that versus looking over cold-blooded shit, which is, they don't even exist or they're easily discarded, that kind of brutalness, because trusting people requires the ability to just even trust to make decisions. People fuck up with love. Sometimes people don't know how to love. Some people don't know how to care in a way that is, that maybe helps your frequency. Maybe they don't know how to just love you, Clay, but that doesn't mean they don't know how to love someone else. They just don't know how to love you. But we expect this like vanilla wafer fucking, vending machine love, and it one size fits all. And that shit doesn't exist.
No.
It doesn't exist.
They sell it every year on the 14th.
Right.
$1 billion business.
Sheesh. Last question I want to ask, because I know we went kind of long. Last question I want to ask as a segue is, do you think by losing humanity, this past year has shown us the proof of the amount of love that has been lost. While we've gained all this wealth, while we've gained all this status, this influence, there's also been a deficit, if you will, or loss of humanity in the way we treat each other and think of each other. And I i.e. it as, hearing like the royal family discuss the same crap that we've heard forever. That it I heard this professor say racism just kind of, it invades the most intimate of spaces. Do you think we're at a place in which humanity is being erased, if you will? And do you see any way out of it as a people, as a country, and as humans? Do you see any way out of it? Is it all the, maybe the older generation, they're hitting their 80s, 70s, or whatever now, and maybe that particular influence will be gone, and then it's on us. And what do you see it going, and how do you see us getting out of the shit that we're doing?
Honestly, I think that it's going to be a long time till we heal what has happened. When I say what has happened, is like there's a fundamental trust, especially in a country that's been betrayed, and it's very foundational. And what I mean by that specifically is, I remember at least either being in a conversation or privy to a conversation where that was a discussion about race, and then someone else saying, "Oh, well, it's not really racist. Oh, what you have to do is look at it in this way, and you'll see that it's not racist." And I know that I personally have been sucker enough to actually be like, "Oh, I think I kind of see it. I think I kind of see it."
He's punching me, and I think I like it.
It's like, no, you gotta stick your neck a little bit further. You gotta stick a little, and you'll see if you look at it just this way, and because it's not racist, it's, you know, and in one fell swoop, you know, you saw that lie get exposed.
Right.
Well,
we're the people that no one believes. Like we're the exiles of the belief party.
And we were believing it. We were believing it. Like honestly, I can say that like I was a little freaked out when Obama started running for president, because I was like, "What you doing? What you doing?" You know, because I was like, because like
horrible, the stuff that we have to think about.
I seriously, because and I know I wasn't alone.
Hell no.
Because there's so many people out there like, don't you embarrass us. You know, they were like, don't embarrass us, when they should have been holding him accountable for some stuff. We were more on that don't embarrass us type of stuff. And I'm just sitting there like, I swear to God, this was a Richard Pryor joke. You know what I'm saying? And then he won.
No way to that motherfucker do anything. We know that. They know that. There was no in hell he was going to do anything, and we've seen the backlash from him even not helping. So
literally,
the motherfuckers are mad about him not helping.
Honestly, if Trump
mad either way.
I think Trump, that whole everything was a backlash from him, because he said that we were equal. And you know, when you really get into it, when you really chop it up, it's like, you know, it's like a lot of that stuff was a lie. And and we can look at our friends, and you know a couple friends we have,
right?
Rome, you know, it's difficult,
right?
You know. But at the same time, it's like this wave has like come over where it's like, all right, thank God, that was bullshit. That was really bullshit. And it's still happening. It's still happening, but at least now I don't have to be overextended with the lie.
We've all been raped, molested by money. It's a fucking pervert. Money will fucking it'll fucking lick you and hit you all at the same time. Like that motherfucker don't care. Money is a careless being. Like that shit is an object. Like it doesn't give a fuck about it.
But it's a catalyst.
It just wants to fuck. That's all. Like imagine how does close your ears, people. All right. So imagine how's vision of the world. You ever thought of in your life? And she wants to fuck every single day. It's the worst thing in the fucking world. Like the thing you love turned into the worst thing in the fucking. Like Cheryl, motherfucker. I didn't even eat yet. Stop.
First of all,
that's money. That's money. Like it touches you, even when you don't want it to touch you. It changes relationships. It comes in there and does threesomes with everyone. It's a fucking animal. Like it parties all the fucking time. It doesn't care. It's an action. It's a verb. I did this because of this, and we become these goddamn receptors of it in our own little ways. And we all, 24 hours a day, we all work on how to be better people. Because, and I was talking to someone else. I mean, that scientist I was telling you about. Like, my problem is sometimes we don't realize there's two exchanges happening when we use this money. One, I give it to you. There's an exchange. You're giving me something for that money, but we're not looking at the other exchange that is happening, the one that we don't see, the dark matter, if you will, of it. And that we give up certain feelings about it. We become numb behind it. And so the more that we acquire, the more numb we get. So things don't seem as bad as they are. You hear these arguments all the time. Well, shit, if he would just get his act together, he'd have some money. If he would just invest more profit into this, he'd fucking have more money. Like, it's all of these formulas sometimes in which, right is not always the hero of the movie. Like Wright sometimes is the worst motherfucker in the movie. He's the villain. Because Wright comes in that motherfucker. It's like, fuck you. You suck. And I'm out. What do you mean? You just left us in pieces. Mine just comes in and fucks up a lot of shit. I'm not saying that without saying it does the equal opposite, because it does. For a lot of people, it helps. For a lot of people, it gives them a life they didn't have. For a lot of people, they do good by the money. They help out people. They help homeless people. They do whatever they need to do to kind of wash their hands of all the dirt that's on money. But the other side of money is a lot more fucking brutal. And we live in that time right now where everybody's money. And because when you're scared, because when you've had people die, you've lost your job, all of these things, it just makes it ripe for a fucking what's that show? Walking Dead movie? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, circling back to what you're saying about, the whole racism thing and, the end of it. And Ron, how are you framing that again? Because I had so many thoughts on it from what I've seen this past year or the past 5 years.
No, just tell your story. Just tell your story. Because for me, I think none of it I was surprised about because it's always been there. I know I've been speaking in a closet for most of my life. Like, hey, there's aliens. Yeah, right, motherfucker. So I'm not believed. We can talk about anything. I can talk about aliens. I can talk about, the bitch with 3 arms. I can say all this shit and people will believe it. But the one time I talk about, what I've seen or what I've dealt with, that's the one. Wait a minute. Just slow down here, buddy. We don't believe that.
Well, here's the thing. I think the burden of racism is not on us. And that's black and brown people.
There you
go. I stand on that. Because my thing was what we saw last year, to me, was the cognitive dissonance of seeing something that actually happened to somebody and still not believing it.
That's right.
Like I said, providing the facts or just seeing it with your own too. How much more do we have to give you in video other than you being on the scene, like transporting you right there while somebody's sitting there kneeling on this guy's neck? These are things. NWA didn't say fuck the police because they had a great idea.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was a song. They were talking about what they saw.
Need to make a song called "Fuck the Police."
Why?
If we didn't have to say "fuck the police," like that's the exact feeling that everyone felt across the nation at the same time. It's almost kind of like I find myself talking to people sometimes, and it's this premise or notion that are we all lying? Like how many motherfuckers? What is got like, let's go to Bob in Alabama, right there on 20th Street, or let's go to fucking dude out there in Opelika. Like we're going to all these people. Are they all fucking lying?
Let me call the 800 number real quick.
Right. We put all 10 motherfuckers on here and ask them all the same question. Nah, they're
going to the next level of that, we're now seeing some of these same rules that everyone is telling us to live by, they're not being applied by those. It's just to keep us in line.
That's right.
Keep people stupid, for lack of a better term. They're not playing by the same rules. And anybody that thinks so.
400 years of it.
Exactly.
It
never stopped. So now, I'm sorry, I'm not going to a person for a solution that won't even acknowledge it. That time's over with.
Right.
Because people showed you what they did when they had power and did not consider you at all and did that shit anyway, right in your face. And you were supposed to like it. In fact, you were supposed to make them feel good about it because they were open talking to you and listening to you about something that they had no plans of doing anything about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I sit here and look at all these empty gestures and everything. Nobody asked for that shit. Nobody asked you to do that. Yeah. People were specific about systemic racism and holding people accountable.
That's right.
The bad ones accountable. That's right. And everything else should fall in lines. And that's just the start.
That's right.
You know, nobody asked you to put Black Lives Matter on Roslyn Avenue. Nobody, nobody asked you, to.
It's still happening. It's the thing. It's still happening.
Who was in that meeting?
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Those are gestures. I get it. That makes you feel good, but that does not solve the problem. It's an empty gesture and it's tone deaf. Because someone is telling you here's how you can help us. You're like, okay, well, here's this and that and everything. I did enough. Now come here and take this picture.
It's countermeasures.
Make me feel good because I feel bad just hearing about what you lived through.
Right.
What kind of mind fuck is that?
Right. Yeah, it is a mind fuck.
What I'm saying? So I think it's time that, the people that are going to do the work, awareness is there. Mm-hmm. But the work is going to be done by the few. And it's always been done that way.
That's right.
Well, that is true, and both things can be true, meaning that while those few are doing the work, the people need to talk. One thing that they didn't want from us was our ability to share what we read. It wasn't the reading that was the problem, it was the sharing. We're still stuck in that mind frame of being in fear of sharing to one another for whatever reasons. It could be money, it could be why I need follow this nigga for whatever the fucking reason is. It's just we need to talk. So the idea of what the pandemic has brought as a result of the deaths, we've all been impacted. So we're all kind of, well, who do I talk to? Well, maybe we should stop going into these offices or interrogation rooms or whatever you want to call them, and start actually just talking to each other, whether you know people or not.
Exactly.
Well, I think
an idea that you're not alone. That you're not alone.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing that we can do right now is talk to each other. That's the whole point. And honestly, in if you really look at it, if you really look at the situation, we communicate, with people in the middle of our communications with one another, and we have this guarded speak, and we're not speaking real and not speaking true to one another, and sit there in silence as these things happen. I'm sorry, I can't get down with that. I can't get down with that.
Talk your shit.
I remember walking on 29th Street and 6th Avenue, and like 5 cops had this homeless black dude on the ground, had Bushmasters, had their, AR-15s out there pointed at, like, dude's a homeless dude. Unless he is like a superhero, you know what I'm saying? And slowly and this is why, I love my people from my hometown in Orlando, but this is one thing about New Yorkers. You got like everybody of every different shape or whatever yelling at them. They were yelling at those cops till they let that guy alone, and they let him go. But like, how many other times did it go the other way?
Yeah, Orlando's stepping up in that regard. Last year they made their presence felt. They invaded the highways. Shut down for mad days. I've lived in Orlando a long time. Never seen that.
Yeah,
Rome. I'll say one thing that I had to ease back off of it because I can go on a tangent. You talked to me before. I've watched everybody stand up last year in Orlando, and I loved it. But also, I wanted to be leery of someone co-opting what was really the message and making it be something else, and people are not comfortable about what we're trying to accomplish and putting the attention there. It's like dividing the attention to what they.
Here's what I'm going to say to that. And this is just my take. I'm a fool. I'm crazy. Making sausage is a mess.
Absolutely.
Making any type of food, it's a mess. I don't care what it looks like while we get there.
Right.
It's just that we get there. We get caught up in who is this and who is that. and we miss the people. We miss that it should be the misfits. It should be the people that, don't always make the right decisions. It should be them just as well as it is the one that swears you got everything figured out. They should be working together and not worrying about what they're going to do to them personally or what they could cause, because the cause is bigger than us. We're fighting for things that are actually for humanity, and the idea of what humanity can remain. And so, it doesn't matter if this person's Muslim. It doesn't matter if he's a Black Panther.
Oh no!
It doesn't matter if he's a Jehovah's Witness. It doesn't matter if he was a racist at some point. We need everyone. This requires everyone to defeat it, whatever that is. And while we're looking at each other, we're missing the people. One of the things that I heard in that fucking movie, which I love, wherever there's people, there's power.
The Fred Hampton?
The Fred Hampton movie.
I just watched it 2 days ago.
Wherever there's people, there's power. Yeah. And we miss the power, focusing on who has it, instead of just looking at the power.
Yeah.
That's right.
I watched that this past weekend.
Right.
And there were parts I didn't even know, when he went and talked to everybody that was disenfranchised.
Yeah. Right. He brought everybody. Well,
that was the
if
part
we're
that
all
made him
suffering.
dangerous. That was
absolutely.
That was the reason.
But that's like
I'm not saying I don't understand it. I'm just saying when I saw it.
Right. The gravity of that. But
they had to take him out because that was power.
But think about that kind of power is with normal people. Like just people out here every day. Instead of looking at each other like that nigga rich or that nigga poor, and we start looking at each other as just fucking humans. Like,
but let me ask you a question. How much longer do Black people have to take a back seat to what we're trying to accomplish? You feel what I'm saying?
Well,
until we're done with the work. Because it has to come from our hand. It's got to come from our hand.
But it will, because we're the ones that are the majority on the planet. We're all being oppressed in one way or another. We're all being stifled in one way or another. It's going to happen. We don't have to make it happen. That's what, once again, science and math justify the power in that and the lack thereof if the power is not used. So us not talking, us letting language back, like I don't speak Nigerian, fuck him. Like we need to have translators. We need to fucking we need to all be talking to figure this thing out as far as how to love each other better. No, just saying.
And I mean, no, I get that, but what I was saying with this is say, okay, somebody said, hey, what's the solution? Okay, here's the solution. Right? Here's a solution coming from us on this issue. Yes, everybody can support it. It's not omitting nobody, but here's a solution. Keep people accountable on a federal level, and that kind of bust up a little bit of that systemic racism that we were talking about.
That's right.
Well, look at the power
using technology too.
Look at the power that the NBA had by saying, "Nah, we ain't playing."
Exactly.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure there was motherfuckers in there, man, fucking up my money, bro. But they said, "Okay, we'll do it." Like they found a language that was able to. Everyone was okay with doing that. Just make the point that if y'all gonna keep doing this, we're gonna do this.
Absolutely. And
so that was just one small minority of people. Imagine if the entire fucking platform in the country said, "Fuck that, we ain't doing shit."
Absolutely.
We're not there yet, but we will get there.
We're in the car. We're in the Hyundai. We're driving. We're driving. I got you. We're there, man. And I think it, because once again, where there's people, there's power. Once people say, "You're no longer my enemy," because
me, I'm the United Nations. You can look at, I'm the United Nations.
Right. All day long.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not swinging on somebody that looks different from me. I'm swinging at that motherfucker right there. You know who I'm talking. You know what I'm saying. Get him out of the way. I'm punching that one in the face. You're not the problem, but that person standing beside you right there, that's the one I'm trying to punch in the mouth because that's who needs it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and we got this, you know, George Floyd thing going on, where we know this is going to be somewhat the catalyst of what's to come. We've all been trying to kind of, you know, we use January as like, oh my God, we got through that. February is kind of like, all right, I could breathe a little bit, but we know things are about to get crazy. It's just when it's going to go. We know.
I need some new tennis shoes, y'all.
You know it's gonna get crazy, right? I mean,
I think it's inherently more good people. That could be just the naivety of myself, if that's even a word.
No, but it is going to get crazy because you said it throughout the course of the night. So has Errol, that it's not. We're almost there. We're there because
do some sit-ups.
Everybody's got a different threshold, but we're all in this molestation together because we've all been molested. So at some point, somebody's gonna say, "Yo, that uncle gonna have to go, man," and we're all gonna say it at once, and we're all gonna know it. That bro.
Yeah,
I think there are more people that feel like us than not, and we need them to speak up more, not from a place of fear, from a place of moving forward. We need more of that. People that don't look like us to speak up more.
And I think because we know it, there's almost not a relaxation. There's almost like a calm, knowing that it's okay. Like some things have to happen, and that's okay. But some things are just going to be, you know, they're still doing it. They're still killing us whenever the fuck they want. They're still getting off whenever the fuck they want. They're still doing whatever they've been doing. There's nothing new about that. And there's
qualified
people,
immunity,
that are just going to be, no, we're not having it. I think George Floyd has been one of those kind of, all right, motherfucker, we've had enough moments. But that may not be it. That may not be the one. But we do know that whatever's going on, it's not the end. We're in the first quarter. We're just getting started. Yeah. I mean, with everything.
And those people that are voted in the spots that are actually doing something about it, we have to get behind these people.
That's correct.
You know, we have to get behind this person.
Correct.
And make sure they're going to do, when we talked about this before, make sure they're going to do what they say they're going to do. Right. Or when their time's up, they got to get the fuck up out of there. We need somebody that's going to do something. Right. Not get up there and make empty promises and then come back and shake your hand when it's time to vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Get in there, do what you said. We need to see change, but we need to see change locally in our communities.
Yeah.
You know, we need to see changes here in Orlando. We need to see changes, you know, like I said before, in Leesburg. We need to see changes in Tampa. We need to see changes in you know, every city or everywhere has their thing. And we have to stand behind these people for the common goal of moving forward as a collective.
Right. That we're here and you can't kill us all, and we got to live together, and there's got to be laws that allow us to live together instead of, you know, what we've been living like, you know, somebody just come over your crib and say, can I stay a few days? And that motherfucker be there forever. That's how we've been living in that regard. We ain't even unpacked. We're still sitting here arguing about when you gonna leave, motherfucker. You gotta let it go. You fucking brought me here, motherfucker. And I'm bothering you.
Yeah.
I'm making your shit fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so but I do want to leave on a funny note. You see what's going on with the Coming to America. I just want to touch on it real quick. I don't know if you've seen it. Do you think these movies that take 2 lifetimes before they make the goddamn sequel are important anymore? Because for me, like, the fact that they did Coming to America, yeah, I'm happy. But damn, you did it with the Karate Kid, damn near. Like, you know, there's certain movies like leave Mr. T alone. Like, I love Rocky. Like, I didn't need another fucking Rocky. You know, I needed it, but you ruined it with the last fucking sequel. But I'm saying, did we need it Coming to America and we didn't know it, or do we need it?
Yes.
Okay. I agree. I agree. Yes. I wish it were better. There were some details. There were some red flags, but at the end, I liked it. And, you know, we definitely did need it.
Right. What say you, Clay?
I think we needed it because, number one, you know, that was part of our childhood. That's on the funny level.
Damn right.
You know, feel good. We needed something that made us feel good during these times, right?
Right.
You know, that took you back to that time to where you could just laugh and not have to worry about the bullshit of the world.
Right.
But on top of that, if you look at it, this is showing Hollywood that we can do this shit without you. This was filmed in Atlanta, part of Tyler Perry's compound. This employs 6,000 people. You know, it showed off Rick Ross's house, but this is now showing the up and coming Hollywood. You know, we always say Black Hollywood. This is showing other minorities and people. You have different vehicles now to where your art can be shown, to where you can employ people. You can't get no job. Boy, you better go get a real job writing comic books and, you know, movies and playing dress up and dance and everything else. This is a reality now, and people are getting in the game younger and making more money than some of their parents have made in half of their lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, and I like it from where it's showing that our mostly all Black cast is bankable. There's an audience for it.
Right.
People want to see these type of movies to where you had to jump through red tape on the West Coast and everything else. Now people don't have to jump through that shit no more. You just got to put it out there, and they're going to pay you for it.
Right.
Or, you know, there's a platform for it. And I just think the more, I hope they start making better movies on some of this shit.
Right.
But I think it was necessary for these times, but there's a lot more to it in the background to where people are working and everybody's not built to be the basketball player. We got our next, you know, artists, our next directors, our next costume designer, our next story writer. It's all in there and it's all relative because somebody's going to have to clean up the set. Somebody's going to have to build the set.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody's going to have to scout it. It's just so many more levels to it. So I looked at it through that lens.
Right.
To where we're moving forward, you know, with entertainment and, you know, other factors also.
Well, I'm right there with you, bro. I think it's definitely needed. I think if for anything else, at the end of the day, it allows us to take a well-needed break within all the madness. We'll be right back after these racisms. You know, we needed to go to commercial for a minute just so we can use the bathroom, snort a little coke, whatever the fuck you're doing, just to get the break. Oh, Coming to America's on. All right, we'll be right back after these races.
But think about it. This was something that you can watch with your family. It was escapism, right?
That's right.
You can't go anywhere. You can sit in your living room now and not buy that big ass box of jujubes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That big nasty hot dog. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
A nasty ass chair that 500 people done sat in.
Man, you got somebody's nephew over there in the seat that didn't quite make it or whatever. You're just like, what the hell? There's a hole in the popcorn.
Man, I love you guys, man. You guys are awesome, man. I'm so glad to have you on the show tonight, man. This is the round table. We're definitely going to be doing this again in the future because once again, I want us to be able to talk to one another in different configurations and different mindsets to kind of just continue building on this idea we have called love. So,
absolutely.
Thank you for coming out tonight. Shouts out to Clay D. Shouts out to my man Errol J. Love y'all, man. Thank you for joining tonight.
I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
You already know, man. Give it up for Clay and Errol, bro, on the round table tonight. We love y'all, man. Let's go. Man, so that is the end portion of tonight's show. Thank you for joining us tonight, man. We were just talking about things, couple black people, you know, couple brothers, you know, and just talk about life, man, and that's what we do. So shouts out to you for tuning in tonight, man. We love all y'all. This was the round table portion of this. And tomorrow we'll be all with another guest. You already know. Thank you for joining the Soul Show. Let's go.
Live on stage. That sound.
Orlando.
So, is they ready? Yes. That sound.
Orlando. Orlando.